Think International, bringing you the best and brightest leaders of our generation. I'm here with Jurgen Matthesius, the senior pastor of C3 San Diego. How you doing, man?
Doing fantastic. Great to be here, man.
Yeah, it's great to be here in San Diego with you, who just planted about 5 years ago, and you're killing it in this region. Why the heck would you move? Because you had a great, successful ministry over there in Australia. Why leave a successful ministry, fly halfway across the world, and plant in here?
You know, that's I used to ask myself that question, and on the dark and low days, I still ask that question. But you know, for us, it was really just a God thing. You know, my senior pastor said to me, "I really want you to pray about planting a church," and we wanted to plant in Australia because that's where we had profile. That's where people knew us. Right. And, you know, it just wasn't a big guy, just kept saying, "No, I want you to go to San Diego." I'm like, "That's not in Australia." Right. He's like, "No, it's in California. I want you to go." And so it was really an obedience thing for us. We'd always kind of felt like there was a city that God wanted us to give our lives to. Right. And I remember, you know, really early on in my ministry, really kind of felt that one day we would be senior pastors. Mm-hmm. And I said, I want a city that has an international airport, you know. And I just kind of wrote down a list. And when we got here, it was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. You know, God brought that back to remembrance. But it was more of an obedience thing than anything. We'd never been to San Diego before we came here. Wow. We didn't know what it was like. We just knew that God was calling us to step from youth ministry into senior ministry. Wow. And we knew that God was going to call us to give our lives to a city. And God was just so gracious that it was San Diego.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city. Yeah. It's pretty unreal. Was there much of a culture shock when you moved over to the States? Or?
Yeah, the first culture shock was how fast people drove on the freeways. That was the first thing that we found. You know, there's some really great similarities. Where we lived in Australia was on the northern beaches. So San Diego kind of has like that beach culture, that beach vibe. So that made it, you know, there was some striking similarity and connection points. But then we also found that there were some massive differences. We find that in Australia, people are less polite. Oh, but wow. when they say that they're going to do something, they do it. And when we found that when we moved here, people would say, "Oh, pastor, we love your church. This is our church." You never see him again. You know, they were just trying to be friendly. They were just trying to pay you a compliment. "Oh, pastor, you're the most amazing preacher we've ever heard. That was incredible." We're thinking, "Oh, that's fantastic." Well, they'll be back, and they're not back. They're just polite. So we found that was a real culture shock to get used to. And then obviously driving on the right side of the road instead of the left. So there was a few cultural shocks there.
Sure. Now, you guys have grown pretty quickly. Do you think that's partly due to your accent?
You know what? I definitely believe the accent has helped us. And it was helped us attract people. You know, there's a difference between building a church and attracting a crowd. Right. It's a lot easier to attract a crowd than it is to build a church, because a church is about discipleship. That's great. And so you know, we know that we've come too far to build a crowd, and crowds are fickle. We want to, you know, build disciples. So what we did was we kind of just felt like what we wanted to do every Sunday was we wanted to give people an incredibly positive, powerful, and uplifting experience in church. So we wanted our music, you know, to be dynamic. We wanted people to walk into not just singing some, you know, hip songs, but, you know, songs that have got a touch of God, that have got an encounter. We wanted our preaching to be live, to be powerful, to be relevant, to be inspirational, to have humor. You know, the way that Leanne and I kind of see it is, you know, I grew up in a home where my dad was an atheist, so I didn't grow up in a Christian home. Mm-hmm. So I had a powerful encounter experience. And so I know that I'm not perfect. I'm a product of God's grace, and I'm still a product of His grace. Right. So we kind of use ourselves a lot. We throw ourselves under the bus a lot in illustrations, and people have really endeared to that. People have said, "Wow, you know, it's the first time I'm in a church where I feel like I can, you know, there's a connection here, you know, with the pastor." And so we use a lot of, you know, our own struggles in our own marriage and our own lives that we've overcome, that you know, can help other people. And so that's kind of been a real winner for us.
Yeah, that's powerful. And plus, when you do that in an Australian accent, it just brings things to a whole nother level.
Exactly.
Your church is portable. You meet in a school. You just started meeting in a college. I know you have some other stuff happening as well, which is exciting. How have you, for the past 5 years, kept a great motivation? Because you guys aren't setting up for a few people. You're setting a major church up every week. How are you motivating your team constantly?
One of the most key foundational scriptures for myself in my own world, and then that we've brought here, is Psalm 110 verse 3, and it says, your servants will be volunteers in the day of your power. Yeah. And or another translation says, your people will be volunteers in the day of your power. And so we've really found that while people really sense that there's God in this place, it's been really easy for us to develop and cultivate a volunteer culture. Right. So we believe that right now we're in our volunteer month, and so you'll see T-shirts at the moment with everyone written on there, because we believe that everyone is called to be a servant in the house of God. Everyone's called to have a place to serve, and well done, good and faithful servant. Yeah. And so we're all servants of the Most High God, or at least we should be. What we've worked really hard to do was kind of break that stereotype of, hey, listen, Pastor, I pay the tithe for you to do the work. Right. It's not kingdom. And so what we've done is we've worked really, really long and hard at building and it's something that, like you said, we do it every month. We really champion our volunteers. We have a volunteer of the month. We champion people that go the extra mile. We have our volunteers even divided up into groups. Right. So we have, an A team and we have an A+ team. And, we just had our A+ dinner. we've got about 200 A+ volunteers. And we have about, I think, just under 400 volunteers in our church, but we have, half of that is our A+. And A+ is people that serve more than once a week. And those people, we hired a beautiful boat and did a harbour cruise. Wow. And dinner and dancing and all expenses, kind of paid for the night, just to celebrate and champion these people that, for 12 months of the year give. And a lot of these guys, I've got guys who, on, 6 and 7 salary figures in the business world who change diapers on a Sunday morning in our kids' church because they've bought into the volunteer serving culture. So I don't think that you can build a church. And look, I tell everybody the best thing that's happened to us is the fact that we're portable. Mm-hmm. Because we're portable, it's forced us to build a culture. Thank God we didn't have a building. Right. Thank God people didn't just waltz into something that was already set up. Right. Because what we've got is we've got a high level of buy-in. And I think that's the spirit that causes a church to be able to impact a city. It's that volunteer, it's that extra mile, it's that high level of servant heart. Right. And within impacting the city, you guys are branching out right now. You just started a service on, is it San Diego State University or? Yeah, UCSD. UCSD, okay. Yeah, UCSD. Yeah. And again, we kind of been doing little outreach things in there for a couple of years, and we were running buses, but every year you got to start all over again as students graduate. And I really felt God just say, what, if you can't get, the mountain to come to you, you go to the mountain. Right. And so we kind of thought, I spoke at an event there that had maybe 500 people there, and I kind of met with a guy afterwards saying, hey, how can we support what you're doing? He's like, oh, look, we've got so much political red tape. Wow. He says, have you ever thought about starting a church? We'd need a church on campus. So that was kind of the catalyst. So we took 6 months to plan it and everything, and we had about 1,200 names sign up saying, yep, we would love to come along. And we never got 1,200, we got 200. Right. I'm the eternal optimist. I'm believing, our setup guy set up 400 chairs. I'm like, where's your faith, man? Yeah. We got 1,200. It's like, Pastor, the biggest auditorium only holds 600 here. What? Well, we'll go to 2 services straight away, and 200 showed up. So we found that there's a battle even for the students, and it's and again, God, I don't think God has ever made anything really easy for us. Mm-hmm. He's given us grace, and I think that the things that you fight for, you keep. Mm-hmm. I think in the absence of fighting for something there's an absence of keeping it. It's a little bit like I'm teaching my kids at the moment, if they save up for something rather than me just buy it, they actually look after it. I bought them bikes when we first got here. Mate, chains hanging off one, flat tires on the other one. They don't care about it. Right. But everything that they've saved up for, they look after, and it's the same in the kingdom. Your website
your video announcements, they're all really next level. So you're producing great media. Are you being purposeful about that? And have you found that it's actually been a benefit in this, at least in this region, for you guys?
You know, I think not only in this region, but I think globally right now. I think that you know, the generation that we're trying to reach is a media techie savvy generation. That's true. And you know, the church is only ever one generation away from extinction. You know, I used to tell people when I was a youth pastor, and I still believe it now that I'm a senior pastor, that the most important job in the church is the youth pastor's job, because he keeps the church connected to the emerging generation. God forbid that we should lose that disconnection. Well, you know, Jesus said, go into all the world and make disciples. And the word world is the word ethnos, which is ethnicities. And so Jesus commanded us to learn the languages of the world. The problem with most churches is we speak our own language. We speak Christianese. Right. And so the world comes in and they have to learn our language. There's a language barrier. And the language of the generation that we've been called to reach is media. It's a YouTube saturated generation. It's a Twitter. It's a you know, network, you know, relationship saturated generation. So we have to have a website that is not laden down with, you know, sadly you click on a lot of church websites and it's just so much lyric. It's like there's so much words. People don't want words, they want a story. And stories are told in pictures. Jesus painted pictures. And so our website has pictures with, you know, a little bit of graphic, but mostly pictures. You know, it's storytelling. And so the same with you know, with our media and our videos that we shoot. It's so important that the church is constantly telling stories. Jesus was a storyteller, and our media is the most powerful medium for telling and describing stories of people that overcame, stories of people that are sacrificing their lives, stories of people that are volunteering, stories of people that, you know, have given their lives to Christ, and it's the art of storytelling. So I kind of feel like we're good, but we're not where I want us to be or where we need to be to really make a significant impact.
One last question.
Yeah.
One of Australia's great exports, let's say, is Crocodile Dundee. One of my favorite lines, epic lines ever. That's no knife. This is not. By the way, horrible accent. Sorry, but you know what I'm saying.
You did great. That was brilliant.
And I mean, yeah, this is a knife. One of my favorite ever. As a kid, loved it. You know, absolutely, positively loved it. And so, if you take Crocodile Dundee with his, you know, gigantic knife, and then if you're to take maybe one of America's action heroes, Rambo, and he had his knife as well, you know, and running through the forest or jungles or whatever, you know, killing everything in sight. Who do you think would actually win in an all-out knife fight? Crocodile Dundee or Rambo?
Oh gosh, you know, Rambo does eat things that would make a nanny goat puke. And, you know, if you send 300 men up there, I just hope you got enough body bags. So, I don't know. I think, you know what I think would happen? I think they'd begin with a fight. Rambo would find respect for Crocodile Dundee. And the next scene would be they'd be mates sharing a beer together in a bar. The Crocodile Dundee, just with his sheer Aussie ochre personality, would win him over. Say, man, why are we going at each other? Let's go and share a beer. So that's what I reckon would happen. But just one more thought. It just came to me on the media stuff. I used to preach for years that the church of the 21st century is the movie theater, and Hollywood is probably the greatest shaper of modern day values, ethics, and morals and culture than anywhere else in the world. And so that's why we have to understand that this is a medium that is being used. And the church has always been notorious for blackballing anything, you know, it's of the devil, and that's from the devil. And so we need to understand that media is so paramount to us. Like, we have to use media, we have to use Hollywood, we have to be in the movie theaters. We have to understand that, that's what it's all about.
That's awesome. Hey, thank you so much, Pastor Jurgen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. C3 San Diego, Think International. Peace.
I mean, I go into Starbucks and I say my name and they got a white chocolate mocha here for Shushan.
That's great.
Yeah, or, can I get a name for that? Oh, it's Jurgen. Burger? No, Jurgen. Jaeger? No, Jurgen. Gerber? No, just Matt. Okay, Matt.